to make it clear, I think it was very comfortable to know that I'm autistic, to have a diagnosis, but it was also very uncomfortable to know that it's going to be a tough time, you know?
So, hello everyone. My name is Brandon Dzwonkowski. I am here with my friend Lewis, and today we're just kind of getting a bigger picture of his story. He is a filmmaker from Germany. He does happen to be on the autism spectrum, but obviously that has not stopped him from making success and strides. So, Lewis, please take it away.
Hello, I'm Lewis. I'm an autistic filmmaker from Germany. Yeah, I studied film a few years ago and made some short films. Two of them are about autism. One is a love story about autism. It's called Signals, and yeah, it's a very traditional love story with all the elements of autism in it, and I just made it to raise awareness for autism. I'm also going to make a feature film out of it next year, probably. I'm currently raising funds for it.
Because I know that the last time we spoke, one of my questions kind of was like, you know, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? And I think that was one of the things you said, is you wanted to make a feature film or work on getting a feature film. So congrats on that, dude. This question kind of pertains more to like a little bit younger age. So what was school like for you growing up? And did you have any extra supports?
School was very difficult for me. It was very harsh with all the ADHD, so I had a really bad time focusing on the lesson itself. I had a bad time with all the other students since they were very loud, and I have a lot of difficulties with loud sounds sometimes. I forgot how you call it in English. It's like sensory overload. Yes, I have that sometimes. Not as much as other autistic people, but still. And it was very difficult with all the homework. So yes, I had a help. I had school help for 2 or 3 years. Yeah. And I also had like assistants at home because it was very difficult. Also, struggling with all those school stuff and private stuff, not making many friends, since I was in a phase where I was like very different from most people at my age. You know, I'm a big film fan. I've been it since I was very small, and now people understand that, but back then it was very like, you're the weird guy in the class.
Right. I mean, listen, I'm still the weird guy in most situations, so it's it's not far off. But no, I appreciate that answer. So one thing we did speak about in our previous conversation was for your assistance and your extra support in school. You didn't necessarily call it like ABA services, but it was just support, right?
Yes.
You guys don't have much ABA in Germany, or do you?
We have a youth welfare office. That's what it's called in English. And they are responsible for supplying special needs children with the help that's needed. Like if you need help at home, they give you that. If you're not suitable to stay at your home, you also get the option to live somewhere else. And if you have difficulties at school, they get someone who helps you.
So one of my next questions, and this kind of dives a little bit more into like your film background, is when did you realize you had such a big passion for film?
You know, it began really early, like when I was 6 years old already. I watched a lot of television. I watched a lot of shows and movies. Like, for example, one film that really shows all this, everything I love about film is like in For example, in Indiana Jones movie, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, or the first Spider-Man movies, those are films that you just watch them. They are pure magic. This magical feel that film encapsulates, that's really important, I think.
Do you think that in a way, watching these movies was almost like an escape for you because maybe there were, you know, things happening in school or those times of like sensory overload were so strenuous? Do you think that you used movies as an escape, or do you think it was just something else that you were just so passionate about and drawn to?
So, yes, it was an escape. I watched all those Hollywood movies and escaped into all these fantastic scenarios. I felt what the characters feel. I was just gone with all my daily thoughts and situations. Yes, to be really honest with you, it definitely changed over time, but I still feel like this about some movies. Like, it is an escape, especially to be in the cinema, you know? When I was like 7 or 8 and being in the cinema, you have this gigantic screen, you really feel like you're in another world. That's pure magic. Nothing in life, no other hobby or interest, you know, gives me that feel that's magical. Yeah. That's why I love film.
It really is such an immersive experience too. This one, it could be a tougher one, so if you're not comfortable answering it, please feel free. What was your support system like growing up? And also, did your parents feel strain or did they struggle because of your diagnosis?
So the thing is, I wasn't diagnosed until I was like 11. We always had like assumptions, you know, that I was different, autistic. I don't know. It was always something in the air. Ever since I was in the kindergarten, yeah, it was definitely tough, especially in my teenage years. That's the part I'm always thinking about when I'm like thinking that it can be tough. Teenage years are very tough. You're going through puberty, and you're also feeling everything. That's the main thing about a person like me. I'm definitely feeling a lot of things more intensively than others. And when you're going through puberty, that's very tough. Then, wow, it's like a roller coaster every day. So it can be very tough. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you think your parents struggled more because after you got your diagnosis, maybe there was extra services and people coming to your house and maybe like extra supports at school? Or do you think that the way that they handled it was you know, like really comfortable?
To make it clear, I think it was very comfortable to know that I'm autistic, to have a diagnosis, but it was also very uncomfortable to know that it's going to be a tough time, you know? You have to take special care and take more time for it and be more careful with a lot of stuff.
Kind of answered it in a previous one, but are there other films that inspire you, and what about those films make them so inspiring?
The most inspiring film for me is Rocky, the 1976 movie starring Sylvester Stallone. It's like so many things, and I mean all those Rocky movies, so many things of those movies are so realistic and can be applied to like life every day. I come back to it so many times when I'm having a tough time of anything, and I'm like, this guy's right. I can do it. And I also love those movies. Just they're so epic, so real, so heartfelt, like wow. It's just awesome. I just want to, you know, I want to write about something that I know. I want to write about my experiences. I want to inspire other people and give them the feeling that everything is achievable even if you have all those difficulties in your life.
Yeah.
That's what I want to put into my film. So yes, I want to put those sensory things into my movie. I want to write about people that are not the common type, more of a shy person, down-to-earth guy that's not as connected as other people, since he's more special, like special interests in anything. I want to write about that type of person. So yeah, it kind of inspired my work, definitely.
So far I've watched all of your short films that are on YouTube. Signals I love, but I think Feelings I go back to, and I've watched at least 4 or 5 times now. There's this thing you do in your filming, and I don't know if it's a style choice or if it's something that it just kind of happens, but it's so beautiful, and it's these shots that stay on a person's face, and you see pretty much from like their shoulders up, and you can see their face change and their emotions go across from angry, sad, worried, scared, and you get that almost like uncomfortable. It's like the camera's on their face for almost too long, but you're seeing everything unfold that's happening to them. But you don't exactly see what they're kind of like working on or doing, but you almost feel more because you're connecting with that person in that moment.
That was definitely intentional. I really like doing scenes with less cuts, longer shots, and just conveying so much emotion to the audience. But it can be very difficult for an actor to pull that off. You can't hide bad acting with any editing.
Yeah.
So you need to be careful with it, I think. We also shot some scenes probably via improvisation. I'm not sure. There were some scenes that had some beautiful poetry. Like you had this scene at the cinema in the film where they walked across the road, and you had this line between them. This line actually symbolizes their friendship splitting apart, and that wasn't intentional at all. We just figured it out at the shoot, and I was like, we need to do this. So sometimes I just have random ideas. Sometimes I want to intentionally focus the camera on the actors. Definitely. I really like doing that. Next year, I'm going to make a feature-length version of Signals, my short film about autism. It's about an autistic student that falls for his classmate. In order to be with her, he needs to improve on his social skills. He needs to overcome his fears, a lot of things that are very common for a lot of autistics, since this society is very difficult when it comes to dating. I think it's also often met with a lot of expectations, and I think a lot of people don't fit in there even if they want to. So this topic is very important to me, and I think it's very important to a lot of other people. And I also really want to make a film where I can highlight all of those problematic situations like sensory overload, struggling in social situations when it's loud, in class, you have a lot of situations there. And all those hints that girls are dropping in dating situations, in conversations and everything, it's really important to me.
I've said this at our last meeting too, but I think just who you are and a lot of the things that you bring to the table, the things you've overcome. I don't know your full life story, but just from, getting to talk to you previously and now and a few times, I think you're an absolutely amazing person. I think you're determined that nothing really gets in your way. And I think that the most powerful thing about you is the way that you kind of carry yourself too. You're very open to talking about your experiences. You're open to talking about your film. You're open to talk about, what you go through. And I think that just that honesty is so amazing about you personally. So, thank you for meeting with me and being able to kind of have this little like interview.
Of course, and thank you for supporting me.
Of course.
It's really great.